Coach Vinny again. Gonna go over some wrestling for Jiu-Jitsu, but before we get into that, let's do our warm-up. First, we're gonna start with 10 jumping jacks. Fall after me, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, get down for frog jumps, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, now we're going to get in our push-up stance. If the push-up is too easy for you, you can work on your diamond push-ups. If it's too hard for you, do the normal push-up position, but have your knees on the ground. All right, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, I'm gonna work a hip circuit on my hands, knees, almost in a, I actually don't know what this pose is called in yoga, but this pose in yoga. So we're gonna bring my leg out to the side and then straight back. So let's get it. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Other side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Leg straight back. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Other side, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, standing up, chopping our feet. Gonna do 10 sprawls. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, guys. Gonna keep that as a warm-up. Now let's just review what we talked about last week. So first, our stance. We want to have our dominant side hand, leg forward. So if you write with your right hand, your right leg's forward. If you write with your left leg's forward. So for me, my right leg goes forward. I have a slight bend in my knees. I like to have both of my hands up like this. I don't want my elbows wide like a chicken, tight like a T-Rex. If you want, you can have one hand low, blocking your front side leg, but there's no right or wrong. This is all preference here. So now, when we take our shot, lower the camera just a little. When we take our shot, we get in our stance. My front leg is going to hit the ground first. My back leg never drops to the ground. I grab onto the legs. My hands are gonna curl in to the calves. My head stays high and proud. My leg traces, and I come up and shoot to the side. One more time. Dominant side leg forward. Knees bent, hands up, elbows tight. If you want, dominant side hand can block the front leg. I'm going to have my knee hit the ground first, front knee hit the ground first. Hands curl over the calves if there was a partner here. Head up high, leg trace, run to the side. Kai, with you here. So do a couple angles. We'll do this angle first. So here, my hand is going to go behind his head. My other hand goes on his bicep. Down. Hand on the calves. My backside leg comes forward. And I go hitting to the side. Do this angle. Here. Hand. Remember our penguin flippers. One comes behind the head, elbows tight. The other hand goes right on the bicep. All right. That was a review for the double leg. Really meat and potatoes. There's lots of really cool variations for the double leg, but I personally think if you're going to take away anything and practice solo drills or drilling with a partner on this, is keeping those elbows tight, keeping your head up high, and also not trying to finish the double on your knees. You got to be somewhat up when you're finishing the double. If you try and finish on your knees, they're gonna sprawl. They have a much easier time sprawling. If your head isn't high, they have an easier time pushing your head in the mat and sprawling. If your elbows aren't tight, they can get a duck under on you, or they'll just generally be stronger than you when it comes to the hand fighting. Kyle, do you have any?
Can I, to touch on that real quick, one thing I see people do is they'll come in for their shot, and then they get here, which is good, you know, they're in good position, and then they try to wrap their arms together. They like come to here, and they try to just like lean into it and drive straight forward. And that'll work if your opponent's like standing with their legs together, and you can kind of just almost mermaid sweep them with your arms. But like if Vinny has a strong stance and I try to kind of just like use my body weight to push him over, like he's gonna shove my face into the mat. So it's really important to, like Vinny said, keep your back strong and drive off at an angle instead of straight through, extending your own back because if you drive straight through, you're gonna extend your own back in the process.
Yeah, and then another sort of thing that is really emphasized in wrestling that isn't as emphasized in jiu-jitsu. It actually was emphasized in Marcelo Garcia's new butterfly guard series, which is really good. But a lot of the time, I feel like in jiu-jitsu, we think that once we go for that first takedown, we're gonna get it. And that's really not the case. Even in wrestling, most of the time you have to shoot, reshoot, and reshoot. And Marcelo talks about it in the new butterfly guard series, where he talks about not getting the sweep the first time, reshooting for the sweep. So it's the same concept that for wrestling. And the thing is realistically, you'll probably have to shoot 2 or 3 times before you can finish the takedown, because the techniques Kai and I are showing are valid and they do work, but sometimes doing something perfectly gets countered with the perfect counter or perfect defense. So then you have to do the perfect technique or close to the perfect technique again and again before you actually finish your takedown. So reshoot, reshoot, reshoot.
Yeah, and to touch on that, you can add that into your solo drills. Like, I mean, when you're working on your shot, you don't have to take one shot. You know, you can shoot, reset, and then reshoot as one motion to kind of practice chaining your takedowns together.
Yeah, and today we're gonna show the single leg, and hopefully you guys can add this to your reshooting sequence. So have like a little idea of what you want to do in your head before you actually go for it. So maybe it's your go-to is the double. If they sprawl on you, then you go for the single. If they defend the single, then you go straight back for your double. Or you go for your single, then you shoot for a double, then you finish with a single. Or even you can get crazy with it, single leg, double leg, double leg, double leg, single leg. The combination you use is really, again, your preference for it. So let me just review the one other thing, the sprawl to the back that we did last week, and then we can go into the single leg. So we'll just start where I'm sprawled on Kai. I'm pushing his head to the mat. Let me lower this a little. So I'm pushing his head to the mat. My legs are out and my hips are down low. So I'm going to have my hand that isn't on his head go on the other side of Kai's body. I'm going to flex my legs out just a little bit to make sure that my legs are cleared of his hands.
I can't really reach him.
Yeah, and even if he has his fingertips on there, so it doesn't really add all that much for him. So my ear is glued to his back at the beginning. My hand is curling on the opposite side. My chest is staying tight, and I'm gonna walk, and then my ear is glued to his back. And guys, we talked about, breaking one of the chair legs and then getting the double under or the 2-on-1 grip. So I thought about that a lot over the week, and honestly, while you can catch this on someone, if they're not expecting it the first time, I'll do it on this side. You can catch this on someone when they're not expecting it the first time. As soon as I do that to Kai, it's really, really hard to do it again to Kai. So I honestly think having your hand swimming on the inside and grabbing his wrist, whether you want to do the monkey grip or gable grip, again, this is preference, sucking it in is a lot easier and less predictable than me trying to hack away at his arm. So one more time reviewing that. I shoot, I sprawl, my hand comes to the outside, chest to chest, chest to chest. Here, my ear is glued, my hand swims on the inside, pulls it in. And guys, if you want to see someone who's really, really good at taking the back from this position, watch JT Torres's last Abu Dhabi trial and the Abu Dhabi trials before that. I mean, I'm pretty sure he takes gold both times. And it's almost guaranteed with him when he gets to this position, this 2-on-1 position, he's going to get the back. And for wrestling, this is called, Kai's in referee's position right now. So that was the first one. The second one we showed, that was slightly, I would say, let's just say lower probability, was sprawling, pushing down on his head, pushing down on his back, and as he sits up, I'm going to shoot my leg forward and then sit back. So there. It's kind of like a backwards, like a leapfrog game where you jump over people. It's almost like a inverted leapfrog where you're jumping backwards onto their back. So that was last week. You can go on both the McMahon Facebook page and McMahon YouTube, I'm pretty sure, and rewatch those if you didn't catch it last week and that was interesting to you. But this week we're going to focus on the single leg. And the first thing I want to start with is a solo drill that everyone can do at their home for the single. So gonna scoot this camera to the wall. Excuse me, kind of. So again, our wrestling stance doesn't change compared to our double leg, but on the wall, you know, you can like practice, you know, going kind of stalking someone, as we would call it back in wrestling. And what I'm gonna do is the same penetration knee forward, and then my back leg is actually, instead of coming, you know, in line with my other knee, it's gonna shoot to the back. So if I'm here, one more time. And guys, you see my head isn't looking at the ground. I'm trying to look up at the ceiling of my garage.
What color is the ceiling, Vinny?
White. So the thing about it is, when you shoot for your single leg, you don't want to can you lead with your other leg? When you shoot for your single, you don't want to curl so much that you're behind them. You know, that's a little overboard. So when I shoot, also too, our feet ideally need to be close. So this is single leg territory. If he's leading with his other leg, this is double leg territory.
We have like the opposite stance here. So if he shoots with his front knee, he's just kind of naturally into the double. Whereas if we have the mirrored stance here and he shoots, he's kind of naturally into the single, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. So when I shoot, again, I'm shooting. My leg isn't coming this way, it's coming back. My head stays high. This is critical because not for the little champs, but for junior grapplers and up, if my head is low in wrestling, I'm going to get sprawled on. In jiu-jitsu, I'm going to get sprawled on or guillotine or even darts. So when I shoot, again, I'm coming head up. For little champs through junior grapplers, I tell them to pretend that they're either a unicorn, a rhino, elk, deer, make it Colorado relevant, and they're trying to use their horn or horns to stab their partner in the side of their ribs. So here, there. My knee too, I've seen this taught in jiu-jitsu, but I've never, when I did wrestling, I was never taught this in wrestling. I've seen people have their knee on the inside for the single, but I don't know. To me, that just seems far easier for them to sprawl on me, yeah, and push my head to the ground. Because when I do stand up with the single leg, his goal is to get his swing his leg on the inside. So again, this is something I've seen. It seems like common practice in jiu-jitsu, but in wrestling, I was always taught when I shoot that the front knee is on the outside of his leg. Because again, I'm going to be standing up with it, and the first basic defense for Kai is to swing his leg on there. And if we now sit down with it, now if we sit down with it, my knee is on the inside. So knee should be on the outside when you shoot. So here, same grips, one on the head. My forehead is going to be pushing on the side of their noggin or their chin. You won't make a lot of friends doing this, but you'll have a lot of control with it.
And the second part of that is, guys, please try not to shoot through your opponent's head, like if Vinny tries to shoot from here,
Yeah,
like,
I don't know.
he's gonna have a bad time.
Yeah. So here, my head ideally should be in the jaw, but minimum on the side of his head. And then this arm, realistically, he's going to be fighting.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, guy. I'm going to have my hand on the inside again. Versus if he has a hand on the inside, I'm not too confident shooting for the single leg with his arm like this. So I want the hand on the inside so I can really control his posture. I shoot, so leg, head up, swing just a little bit, not too much, but just a little bit. My hands are gable gripping. My head is my elk, deer, rhino, unicorn horn, stabbing into his chest. I'm gonna stand up with it, pinch his leg in between my knees, and this is just the first part of it. So if anyone is watching the slide, drill that a few times. If you still aren't getting it, I'll be drilling it a few times so you can see it from different angles. So let's do you in front of me. Here. All right, so Kai, do you have any pointers on the single leg shot or setup?
For this setup, yeah, one thing I want to talk about is like angles. So the double leg is kind of like a linear move. Like the double leg is very like, you don't really have to worry about shooting head on because you want to get under him. So like I don't really have to worry about like turning Vinny too much. I mean, it's helpful, but like for the shot itself, I'm just going to be shooting under him. But for the single, like kind of when Vinny was showing the single, like he kind of comes out to this angle where he's almost like perpendicular to my body, or I'm perpendicular to his body. And you can achieve that through this shot, but like one way I like to set that up is from an arm drag. So when he was showing this like inside tie on the bicep, you can also get the inside tie on the wrist. And just like an arm drag in jiu-jitsu, same side hand to the wrist, opposite side hand to the tricep. And I'm just gonna drag Vinny across my body, and I have the exact same angle that he achieved from the shot, except I just have to drop to my knee now and come up with it.
Yeah. Yeah, well, definitely, I love that setup. I honestly prefer that to the traditional setup, but we'll get into like arm drags, you know, further down in future weeks, hopefully. I mean, hopefully things open up, but if not, that's sort of the game plan, doing duck unders and arm drags for a couple weeks too. So yeah, now the finish, for the finish, there's like two very basic finishes. One is the treetop, and then what's the other one when you like dump? Is it the dump?
Something like that, I don't really know.
Yeah, I don't know what it's called. It's just the other one that
Yeah.
it's the one you learn after middle school, basically. But the middle school one is still really, really good. And I think it's a lot of people don't utilize it a lot because they're never shown it. But especially the like, you know, little camps I would do back in like 6th, 7th grade for wrestling. This was the first one I learned, and I still love it to this day. So I'm gonna be with my partner. Oh yeah, guys, I'm so sorry. Level change, always level change. It never changes for duck unders, doubles, singles. We're always level changing. Level change, on the outside, gable grip, standing up. Now you see his leg is in between my. Here, let's kind of look at this one. You see that his leg is in between my legs. So what I'm gonna do is, I don't want to take my head off of him. I want to keep my head on. But my leg, that's, how should I say it? The inside leg is going to step out. And now this is going to uppercut. Kai is really flexible. So he can stand while I uppercut. But if I go, I mean, I can shoot up much higher and he will go down.
Yeah.
So grips here on the jaw, shoot, gable, stand up, head glued. Now let's come a little bit closer to the camera. Head glued. My inside leg, so the leg that would kind of be between his legs, steps out. And then this arm uppercuts. And that's basically it. That's the treetop. And I don't know. I think the KISS method, the keep it simple, stupid, is a tried and tested method. And this is a really, really basic but high percentage takedown once you can step over.
Just to add a couple things. So when Vinny shoots on me and gets in on the leg to where it's in between his leg, his head's still strong. It's in my side. If his head starts sagging down to my hip, I'm just going to catch the guillotine.
Yeah. Or if my head sort of gravitates away from it,
right,
he's going to sprawl. Or
just
push me away.
And the second part is when Vinny gets my like lifted all the way up, like I'm pretty flexible. Like I think I can stand like this for a while, but if Vinny just starts trying to move me around the mat a little bit and like keeps kind of lifting my leg up and making me change directions, like eventually I will fall.
Yeah, and also too, let me tilt the camera so you guys can see this. So let's just start from the treetop. There, you can always sort of kick the back of their leg too to get that extra off balance that you need to take them down. Okay, so that's the treetop single. I love that takedown. I still use that takedown. It's the first takedown I learned, but let's just call this the high school takedown because it's like the first one you learn in high school. So I do the same shot, get my grips. My head is dominating the grip fighting. My inside grip is pulling tight on their arm, and this one is it's like in that T-Rex position on their head, on Kai's head, because I can push them away or pull them close. Back. I'm going to shoot here. Now, instead of stepping over, I'm going to keep his leg in between. And my head is always staying strong, always have my elk, deer, rhino, unicorn horn stacking into his chest. But this time around, I'm going to pretend like there's a cement football in between my legs, and I'm trying to throw it in between my legs. And the cement football being his leg. So there, just like that. Now, so you can see the footwork to this, which is just as important, if not more important. Here, so here, I'm circling. My outside leg is circling away from Kai. My inside leg is circling towards Kai, and then my arms sort of throw the cement football in between my legs.
And the tighter Vinny's turn is, the more distance I have to cover. And like realistically, I'm just not going to do that hopping backwards if he's able to turn on one point and make me swing all the way around on one foot.
Yeah. Do you have any other things? I want to just keep the takedowns or the technique today to just this. Do you have anything else to add to just the takedown, not to? Okay, so now we're kind of going back and talking about I went over the reshooting. You could go single, double, single, double, double, single, 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 double, all these types of things. So just a really, really basic one that we can start with is the double. He sprawls, we circle out slightly, and then finish with the single. So with Kai, let's keep it like this. So I shoot the double on Kai, I get my grips, he sprawls. Now guys, I'm gonna slightly bend my knees, walk outside, and as he starts standing up again, I'm right in the single position. So I shoot, he sprawls, I'm gonna lift up strong, and then find myself in the single position. And tight cement football. And then the alternative to that would be if I shoot for the single, he sprawls, and circling for the double. But the thing with the double, I kind of broke a rule I was saying, not to finish it on your knees. But my back, I wasn't on both my knees that time. My back leg was still tracing, so I could get that little bit of momentum up. But any thoughts on the reshooting?
Yeah, I guess that's a different video.
Okay. Yeah, so again, guys, like, this is my opinion, and I think Kai shares this opinion, and most people who do or have done wrestling and have done jiu-jitsu's opinion is wrestling is much more physically demanding than jiu-jitsu is. And the reason for that is, I think largely because of sort of this thing. Like in jiu-jitsu, you can, again, not all the time, there's tons of times where you have to reshoot for submissions, sweeps, stuff like that. But in wrestling, it is like almost guaranteed that when you shoot, they're gonna sprawl on you, and that you actually have to work from that. Like my last year of wrestling, I did not shoot. I shot maybe like 3 times the whole season because I knew, I'm like, no way do I want to put all that energy into the shot and reshooting a few times. I would much rather sprawl and then work off of that. So again, when you're wrestling and when we get back to some normalcy and we do stand up with one another, like anticipate that you're going to have to reshoot a minimum of 2 times to get the takedown that you want. And don't be frustrated or, intimidated to just shoot because they're going to sprawl. You should anticipate them sprawling. You should actually have a plan B for the sprawl. Kai, any thoughts on that?
I guess just to add one thing real quick from the sprawl of the double. I like to finish here is if I kind of come up here and then he doesn't want to come up and he puts like the whizzer in or something, I can just step over his leg.
Here, what's up?
Like if I can turn around, he doesn't want to come up, he puts the whizzer in. I can step over his leg, come up to his waist. And it's not really like a reshoot, but conceptually it's kind of the same. Like my double failed. I'm not like, okay, I lost. I'm like, all right, we're gonna go to the single now. And like Vinny said before, I mean, from that position too, like we're not finishing the shot from our knees, even when we're down, we're finishing from our feet.
Yeah, and again, this is wrestling for jiu-jitsu. So there's a lot of things that you can do in jiu-jitsu that you can't do in wrestling. So it doesn't even have to be like a lot of people I know go for the shot and pull for half guard, or go for the shot and pull for butterfly, or pull guard. Yeah. As long as you're, and I mean, if you're really into the competition part of it, most of the times refs are really good about it. If you engage the shot and then you pull guard, there should be no points awarded to the other individual for it. But so again, don't be intimidated to shoot. You should anticipate that they're going to sprawl, but have a plan, like a step B, C, possibly D, of where you want to go after that shot is committed. Any last words, Kai? Yeah, of course.
So this is a kind of similar to the Finnish show is with my leg machine is a feet on this side, but if I shoot, come up and come to like basically a treetop, like maybe I can't treetop him. It's really the same thing as a reshot. Like if the treetop fails, I don't let go of the single. I can, like switch off and take him this way, in the same way that Vinny made me turn like in too big of a circle. You know, I can do the same thing off of the treetop. Just catch his foot, hand comes to the knee, and I'm just gonna make him turn. And let's say the turn doesn't work, we're right back to the treetop.
Yeah. Yeah, so lots of ways to reshoot. And even too, like, we were just talking about this, I forget the name of the fighter, but Michael Johnson, who just fought, his opponent shot for the single and then pulled for the single leg X. So you can get really, really creative with this stuff. But that's all for this week. And hope everyone is staying happy and healthy. Catch you next week.